Income inequality in the United States. My name is Eder Marinez. This is for Management 3311 Business Communication class for the spring of 2015. I'll start off the presentation with a quote from Supreme Court Justice Louis Brandeis. He says, "We may have democracy or we may have wealth concentrated in the hands of a few, but we cannot have both." In this PowerPoint presentation, we'll look at some of the issues responsible for income inequality. Issues such as education, inequality in wages, and governmental policy. In education, we're going to look at the difference between urban and suburban school systems, how one has a higher graduation rate than the other, and why. We're also going to look at the increasing higher education costs, which are not keeping up with the consumer price index. Effects of beginning life already at a disadvantage. The urban graduation rate in the 50 largest cities in the United States is at 53%, compared to 71% in the suburbs. More students from the suburban areas are making it to college compared to urban areas. School facilities, I think, has a lot to do with this. The better the facility, the more resources available to the student, the better they're going to do in their studies. Urban school systems have to use more of their resources, their money, to provide security for their schools. Things from metal detectors to cell phone lockers and security personnel at every single door cost a lot of money that is diverted from chemistry labs, physics labs, textbooks, and resources for the teachers. Suburban schools don't have those worries or don't use up their money in those, don't allocate funds for those sort of things. Their campuses rival those of college and universities. College costs. The New York Times reported the College Board conducted a study stating college costs rising at double the inflation rate. Sandy Baum, a co-author of the report, stated the average price of college is continuing to rise more rapidly than the consumer price index, more rapidly than prices in the economy. The study went on to point out that public institutions, their tuitions rose by 5.7%. Private institutions, their tuition rose by 6.3%. And two-year institutions rose by 3.8%. The rising higher education cost forces middle and poor and low income families to have to borrow more in order to cover their school costs. This starts off the student upon graduation at a disadvantage. The average college borrower borrows about $40,000 a year, or $40,000 by the end of their 4 years. That puts them in a $40,000 hole upon graduation. What else leads to the rising cost of colleges? Well, here we see in 2004, the median salary of a university president was $255,000. Now, as of recently, last year, the median average of a college or university president was above $400,000. How is that so? Why? some people point out that the college professors, college presidents, and university presidents do deserve larger salary than the professors. I disagree. I think the professors are the ones that are molding the minds of the students, and they should have higher wages. Inequality in wages. In 1965, the average CEO earned 24 times that of the average employee. Let's compare that to 2005, where the average CEO earns 262 times more than the average employee. The minimum wage in 1965 was enough to keep up with the consumer price index, but studies have found that as of 2015, the minimum wage has failed to keep up with rising inflation costs. Our governmental policy. I think we should start with who are our congressmen and women? Do they really represent the average worker? The previous occupations of our congressmen and women are the following. About 13 are prior medical doctors. 6 were ministers. 37 were mayors. 3 former cabinet members. 272 former state legislators. 109 former congressional staffers. 16 White House former staffers. 4 sheriffs. 2 deputy sheriffs. 4 police officers. 2 state troopers. 2 probation officers. A volunteer fireman. An FBI agent. And a former Border Patrol chief. 3 chemists. 3 physicists. And a biomedical engineer. That does not represent what the average worker is. The average machinist. The average mechanic. The oil field worker, the nurse. Those do not represent the average of the United States of America. Which leads to why do senators and representatives vote against minimum wages? Because the people supporting their campaigns are the CEOs. It's not your average Joe Schmo. It's your Walmart, your Halliburton, those people, and they have corporate ideology they want to back up, and they need to see it through. That's why they provide millions of dollars to these politicians during their governmental campaigns. Once they vote their senators and representatives into Congress, they know they will get the tax breaks that they require in order to increase their revenue. In 2004, Senate passed a corporate tax bill. That corporate tax bill cut $143 billion from revenues that the United States of American government would have gotten. How do we stop these unfortunate cycle? We vote into Congress people that will support the average worker. People that will look past big corporations saying minimum wage is not what this economy needs. And people that will vote to lower higher education costs in order to provide opportunities to those in lower and middle income families. It's up to you and me to see that we vote the right people in.